Hey, welcome and thank you for joining us here as we get right back into it with the Warhammer 40K map campaign here at the Nexus Game Lounge in Wichita Falls, Texas. Tonight we're going to go over the second half of turn two, which would include everybody's attack actions.
Yeah, big,
Um,
tons of
I
time.
know that would give us that's what everybody's been waiting for is the results of those attacks. Then we'll get a quick uh, look at what the map's going to look like going into turn three, and then we're going to talk about see the leaderboard and see where everybody stands as far as campaign points go for turn two. Before we get into that, though, we do have a number of there's been some rules updates and clarifications, things like that. So we're going to go through those before they get posted live, so everyone has a little bit of context. As we go through each turn, there may be some adjustments and clarifications that get made, and we'll discuss them with you here so that everyone's got an idea. Um, so first and foremost, the withdrawal table and the loss table have both been adjusted to bring the number of
Casualties.
casualties and
Yes, yes.
losses down by just a little bit.
We also have the mobility. Mobility is going to increase by 2 to all armies.
Yeah,
Give
everyone's
them-
going to see a little bit of a bump in their mobility so they can move around a little bit more.
yeah, and then we have the Chaos Space Marines. They're going to get a -1 to resources it removed, and a region is going to be processed added.
Possessed.
Oh, sorry, possessed.
So there's a new rule that's been added for the Chaos Space Marines called a region possessed. You can take a look at that in the rules now. And what that does is it makes it a little bit dangerous to invade a Chaos Space Marine territory if you lose. So as long as you keep winning against the Chaos Space Marines, it won't matter too much. But if you lose, you're more likely to take some casualties. You know, fighting in a whole area that's been possessed by chaos.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing that's happened, we did have, due to scheduling conflicts, one of our players had to withdraw from the campaign, and that was the Siberian Sisters. Yeah.
Hey.
Unfortunately, they had to withdraw. But fortunately, there was another player just dying to get into the campaign.
The webway has opened.
The webway has opened, and Eldar hath spilled forth. So we just decided to let the new player take over the Siberian Sisters territories, and so you'll need to see a new faction on the map here as soon as we update it. That faction is called the Last Laugh,
The last laugh.
and they are an Eldar Harlequin army. So that'll be fun. Take a look at that. With the Eldar, we've removed the -1 to resources. Same thing we do with the Chaos Space Marines, honestly, because it was just too much of a logistical overhead to constantly keep track of those regions, and and so we just removed that altogether. It wasn't a benefit added rule. So, and then they have a special ability.
Yeah, the special abilities are good. They're going to be able to build webways that add those to their areas, allows them to link of non-adjacent regions as a bonus action.
Yeah, it's kind of like the ability that the Space Marines get or that the Demons get all the time. It just costs the Eldar a build action to accomplish that same thing. Um, We've some of you may have noticed when we were going through battles this week that we sort of simplified the terrain rules. So those have all been incorporated into the rule book. Take a look at that. And then lastly, we've updated the raid mission. So Jared and I sat down and talked a little bit. We have two special missions for the campaign, right? The raid and the target strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, the purpose of those missions, or what they're supposed to try and accomplish, is to be an alternate
Form of attack that
form,
just like I'm going to invade.
right.
These allow just
It allows
for
underdogs,
small
underdogs for smaller armies to try and cause some damage to larger armies. And because it doesn't result in a territory changing hands like an invasion does, we decided that it should have a slightly easier threshold of success for the attacker since they get less out of it. So we'll be updating the raid mission, which basically gives it a slight edge to the attacker as far as determining whether or not the mission was a success. So you'll see that as well. A few points of clarifications on the existing rules. There are a number of situations or abilities that will allow you to either increase, decrease, or multiply the traits of a region. It doesn't matter what those circumstances are, they can't bring the traits of that region above or below their maximum. So I don't know, some examples would be Tyranids,
Tyranids, yeah.
orcs,
Orcs.
and previously anything that would reduce a trait can't bring it below its lowest setting. It also can't bring it higher than its highest setting. So keep that in mind.
And then we had some invasions. Successful invasions always result in at least one force unit occupying the target region. So if you got last stand, but I still win that mission, I still capture that area.
Yeah. The way it works is as long as you succeed and win the battle in an invasion scenario, you get to keep one force unit to occupy that territory. So that's the one of the benefits that comes with winning the invasion. Now, if you lose all of your forces and don't win the battle, then your army was wiped out and the defenders were successful. So
Then targeted strikes cannot be reduced the defender force unit below 1.
right. So if you look at the targeted strike chart, it will allow you to cause up to 4 force units of damage to the occupying force. If they only have 4 or fewer force units there, you can't bring them below 1.
Yeah.
The only way to completely knock somebody out of a territory is with an invasion.
Yep. Target strikes are mainly like equal.
Yeah, but I mean you can drop them down to 1.
Oh yeah.
Which is significant. And then another clarification that we had. There's a lot of rules for the campaign, and even though we put them together, sometimes we forget about things or misinterpret them. But battlefield losses or battle losses are supposed to be rounded down to the nearest force unit, not just to the nearest force unit. So the chart that's in the rulebook is correct. The chart that's on the battle reports has been updated, and we recalculated everybody's losses for this turn to take that into account. So you may see some of the battle reports have been adjusted to make the casualties a little bit less than they were at first.
Not that matters the orcs, but that's really good for any other.
Yeah, it didn't make any effect on the orcs. The orcs lost hard and fast, but that's okay. That's what they do. So those are the updates. I will be posting a text synopsis of all of that stuff to the Discord channel. So keep an eye out for that. I'll pin it so you can find it pretty easily. And yeah, those are the rules changes and updates. So now we're gonna get into the fun stuff.
Oh, the good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So this
is Sunday,
right? So let's take a look. We're gonna go to the map here where you'll be able to put on. So we're moving into the attack resolution phase of turn 2 here. So this is the attack map when we started. A lot of red arrows, a lot of potential red stuff going on. So we're going to kind of go through these. Now, this is in initiative order. So first and foremost, the High Fleet Charybdis invaded the Knights of Shadow. Now, they did a strategic withdrawal, trying to avoid being overwhelmed by the Tau and the Tyranid. Mm-hmm. But what that resulted in was the Tau and the Tyranids fighting over the territory, since the Knights of Shadow,
they just like, I'm out. I'm going to save my army.
They left out. Yeah. So the result of that was that the Tyranids failed in their invasion, mm-hmm. And the Farsight Expeditionary Force ended up claiming the region. So I don't know if that's because the Tyranids and the Tau are working together, which seems like some kind of blasphemy.
Yeah, well, on the street is that even the Tyranids could have fought it out, but they just chose not to.
Well, fair enough. So that's the result of that battle. Moving on here, we've got the Purple Death, and the Rivals of Khorne. So the Rivals of Khorne, you'll see there, they sent 5 of their 6 force units to attack another territory, which just left them with very few defenders for the Purple Death. But they didn't just give up. That one force unit held out and made the orcs play a game.
So in this turn, there's a lot of invasion, especially with these orcs. This was the first time we did a last stand, at least in this turn too.
No, this is the battle took a little bit later, but yeah, they didn't do a last stand. They tried actually winning it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And the orcs didn't suffer any casualties, but they did take away from that battle a little respect for the demons who were willing to stand their ground. So moving on from there, we have the Guardians of the Temple. They did a full-on invasion against the Night Lords. They sent in 1,000 points of Ultramarines. and they were able, but it was only one force unit left. Um, so the Night Lords, they
Yeah, I mean it's a yet again a lot of these like I'm going to invade or traditionally move, and you only have one force unit against the four. It's
yeah,
it's a big over.
they're
Like
they're
you got to really outplay someone.
they're picking on the leftovers.
Yeah.
So the Guardians of the Temple were successful in their invasion.
Then we have the Court of the King. They are invading. They invading some just other knights. We got a 9-on-9 action going on. We have two of those battles, but we that was successful.
Yeah, they did a strategic withdrawal as well, being it was 2-on-4. Um, so the Court of the King was able to capture that territory from the Chaos Knights.
Now we have cut and run. They just
No, no.
say, oh, there's the orcs. This is my file. The War Squad invaded from I1 to I2. And this match was interesting. It was like 5 against
Yeah, so
just 5 against the
you sent
like,
5 units, 5 force units of orcs in, and there was only 2 force units of slaughtered sons defending the territory. And they made a last stand,
They did.
and they wiped out 4 of your 5 force units.
But because of the rules, I was successful. I did get some points. He just chose to hurt as much as possible.
And he did. I mean, he traded 2 of his force units for 4 of the WAS squads. So that was a costly victory.
Yeah.
And then following right after that,
We have the Pedro's Raiders.
nope. Is
Rivals of Corn.
Yep. Pedro's Raiders did a build act.
Oh,
that's why
yeah,
they're on the
that's
list.
right.
So the Rivals of Corn used their demonic ability to just pop in and out of the warp, and they moved all the way over to K3, the Crimson Slaughter, and they did an invasion there. Now that was a pretty well fought battle. It was a
Right.
very cool table. The setup was very cool. The models were very cool. We'll get some pictures posted soon. But the Rivals of Corn were able to successfully invade K3.
And this is important because he's going to get some chaos out of that.
Yeah.
Chaos interest.
Absolutely, and it sets him up over there, and with K2 right above him, now he's got 2 territories in the corner. That whole corner is chaos.
Chaos
That's the
controlled. Yeah.
chaos corner, man. So it'll be difficult to get at those demons, but they can use their ability to pop out all over the map next turn. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Now we're going back to the orcs again. The Slaughtered Sons invaded I2 to H1. They brought their 4 forces, and this was an even match of 1,000 points each. And unfortunately, I just held out long enough.
So it was
get
rough.
points, yeah.
So that was an interesting battle because the orcs were able to claim enough victory points in the battle to be declared the winner, but they ended up losing their entire army.
It was like 16,000,
That's right.
points.
So the Slaughtered Sons did not have a successful invasion, but they did wipe out a metric butt ton of orcs. So that territory ended up being unoccupied at the end of that.
Absolutely. Seeing Angron the first time, that was scary.
Absolutely.
Then we have the Talons of the Emperor. They invaded C5 from C5 to B5 with their unit forces of 6.
I don't know what happened here.
Yeah.
Because the Grey Knights made a last stand. But they were only able to take out 2 force units.
The Custodians are just very strong.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It was a well played game. Sometimes the dice are just not on your side, and people are rolling like they're possessed. That happens too.
Right.
And so the result of that is that the Adeptus Custodi army, the Talons of the Emperor, they were successful in their invasion of the Grey Knights. Now I don't know what they've got against the Grey Knights, but they definitely made a point there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Grey Knights, the Adeptus Sororitas also launched an invasion against them.
Those Grey Knights fought so much this past weekend.
They did, but they fought pretty well, and they managed to repel the sisters. And so the Adeptus Sororitas was unsuccessful in their invasion of A5.
Now we have the Crimson Slaughter. They are invading the Tyranids from K4 to J3.
Yeah, they sent 4 force units
Yeah.
up there against 6 force units of Tyranids. Now,
Yeah.
that's not the way I would do it.
That's very hitting up over
Um,
here.
but the Crimson Slaughter, they,
Hitting up for sure.
aim high, right?
Aim high. Aim small, miss small.
Yeah, no, it's so that's how that went. Is as you can, at least I would have anticipated, the Tyranids were able to successfully repel that invasion. The battle report for that is very interesting because the Tyranids did lose a force unit of defenders, but they were able to eat enough Crimson Slaughter people to replenish their forces
Oh, that's
just from
rough.
the sheer biomass they gained from that fight. So they stayed at their 6 force units while sending the Crimson Slaughter back with fewer men than they started with. Next up, we have the Knights of Shadow. This was a crazy battle. I watched this one. The Knights of Shadow, the Chaos Knights, sent 5 force units in against 4 force units of Imperial Knights. So it's 1,250 points versus 1,000 points, pretty close to an even match. And the Court of the King, the Imperial Knights, was able to repel the Knights of Shadow, but they had almost nothing left on the table.
Oh,
So Knights of Shadow had 100% of their units wiped out. Court of the King was down to a single model with only 25% of its wounds left. So it was very close.
the only thing that could take out knights are knights.
So it would seem. So the result of that is that the Knights of Shadow were unsuccessful in their invasion.
And then we had the final end, we had the Siberian Sisters making that targeted strike from C1 to D1. Unfortunately, due to some scheduling issues, obviously they couldn't play. That kind of failed. And
Yep. So the Ultramarines, they were spared from that backstab attack from the Siberian Sisters.
yeah,
And so we'll have to see how that goes rolling into turn 3. So those are all of the attack actions and their results as of turn 3 or turn 2, pardon me. So as we roll into turn 3, let's take a quick look at the final here. So this is what the map will look like as we roll into turn 3. On this map, everybody's reinforcements have been applied. If you look in C1, C2, and D2, you will see a new army faction, the Last Laugh.
Yeah.
And you'll see there are currently 2 unoccupied territories. So we're about to reveal where the ancient artifact will be. We're going to do that on our Discord channel because I promised that's how we would do it. So we will add that to the map as soon as it's revealed there.
Rumor has it is in the center of that map.
It's going to be somewhere in there. There are 12 possible territories that it could be, and those are the territories that are 3 hexes away from any of the borders. So, and then let's go ahead and reveal. You guys want to see the leaderboard? So this is where I just got the top 10 of our campaign, which honestly is I find so awesome that we can do a top 10 and it's not even half of the armies.
That is
Like
very
this campaign is huge. It is so much fun. So here is what that looks like. So bringing in the lead right now, Hive Fleet Charybdis tied with the Farsight Expeditionary Force. Now to break a tie, we're going to go with whoever controls the most regions. So technically, the Farsight Expeditionary Force is the top of the pile, followed up by Court of the King.
Court of the King, yeah. The Court of King, they have 4 region. They have currently 15 points, just trailing by 1 point off from the Farsight Expedition and the Hive Fleet Charybdis.
Yep. Guardians of the Temple, the Ultramarine Space Marine Army, they've got 14 and 4 territories. My own army, the Purple Death, we've got 13.
Pedro's Raiders with the Space Marines have 13.
Yep. Followed with a 4-way tie between the Slaughtered Sons, the Ultramarines, the Sons of Sanguinius, and the Rivals of Khorne. Now you'll notice that it's only the matter of a single region that separates most of these guys from a much higher position on the chart. So as we roll into turn 3, there is no clear winner. A single battle could completely change all of this.
A single battle, a single mistake can just flood. So
that's right.
Just get off and change the entire leaderboard.
Absolutely. And so I'm super excited to see how things roll in as we go into turn 3. So we're going to upload all of the data that we've discussed here, all of the forms and charts and maps that you guys are used to seeing will be uploaded here in a little bit tonight. And then once that stuff is uploaded, we'll go ahead and open up. We'll go ahead and open up the turn submission form, and then you guys will be able to start submitting actions for turn 3.
You start submitting actions, making those alliances, making game plans. So probably someone you probably like allies yesterday, friends and foes tomorrow, vice versa, and making those changes.
Yep. So look for that tonight, and you'll start submitting your actions, and we'll go through that. Once the actions have been submitted, you guys will see us again on Friday night, and we will go through all of the turn 3 actions before we roll into the weekend. So prepare yourselves for that. And until then, I'm Jason.
I'm Jared.
And we'll see
See you
on